Hello, I'm Joe Dillette, and I'm going to do some chainsaw carving. I've got these two nice butternut logs that were given to me. Sometimes you just can't visualize what you want to put in the log, so what I did is I made a clay model of the logs. So this is a scale model. It's 1/10 the size of this log, and from here I can decide what I want to make and make sure that it fits into the log. This one here I'm going to do a bear out of. So this is the one I'm going to start on. And the bear is going to be holding a pole in his hand. So the clay model that I made is that's the head of the bear there. But if you look down at the bear, it's almost round. So at this point, I'm going to allow for this shelf coming out here for the arms, and I'm just going to round the rest of that log off before I start cutting into here. This log is quite wet. It was taken down, or the storm damage brought this tree down, this butternut. So it's only been down a couple months, so it's very wet. The heart on this log is off center, and that's where I put the mass of the body. And so what I'm doing here is I'm going to drill a hole to relieve get some of the moisture out of it, but it's going to relieve the stress that causes the cracking. So it's not going to eliminate the cracking, but it should minimize it. So I'm going to try to drill up about that far. This is 1.5 inch drill, and it should give a nice relief and let the moisture out. This drill is really underpowered for what I'm trying to do, so now I have to let the drill cool off. It doesn't feel hot on the outside, but it's very hot on the inside. So I'm just going to give it another maybe 20 minutes to cool down before I run it again. Well, after a few months of drying, the cracks have opened up, and we filled the cracks with pieces of the scraps that we cut off of here. So we matched the grain. So on the end grain, I've got wedges that are glued in with the end grain coming out, and where the cracks go to the side of the grain, I have the long grain there. So when I carve it off, it's going to match. So how I made the wedges is I cut them on the bandsaw into a wedge shape, so with the grain going long and also with the short grain, so I can match it. Then I just break off the pieces that will match the cracks, so it's not one continuous crack. You can see for the end grain that there's made up of the small pieces that I glued in, and you can see some gaps. And after I carve it down and sand it, then I will probably go back in and put some more smaller slivers in to fill up the rest of the cracks. So you can kind of see how wide these cracks opened up in a few months. Like this one here is pretty wide. That comes all the way over into the inside. So even with drilling the hole up from the bottom, it relieves some of the stress, but I still got some cracking. After filling the cracks, I'm putting the texture on. When I go over some of these cracks, I'm opening up some small areas, so I plan on going back and filling those. How I'm texturing the fur on the bear is I'm using a veiner, number 11 veiner, and it works pretty quickly. The varnish I'm putting on is a clear varnish that will dry to a matte finish. It's an indoor-outdoor varnish and polyurethane. And I wanted to add some color, so I'm using artist oils. And the artist oils, what I'm putting on is a burnt umber. And that's just doing a little bit of following the grain, putting in some streaks of dark, blending them in, and just to give it a little fur look, little highlight. But mostly I'm leaving it a natural finish. So there is no stain on it. There's just a clear finish, and I'm just touching it with a little bit of this burnt umber. So this is the second coat of varnish, and I've got a little bit of raw umber here that I'm just highlighting the fur. To soften those a little bit, take my varnish brush and just lightly go over it. What I'm doing is putting on furniture movers on the bottom here. And normally furniture movers are taken on and off, but I'm mounting these permanently. I'm epoxying them to the bottom. This is going on a nice hardwood floor, and it's pretty heavy, so for cleaning in that, I want them to be able to slide it around easily. So what I've got here is just some round pieces of wood to epoxy the furniture movers to. I'm just putting a dab of epoxy on the wood and then holding it in place while it dries with a couple small nails. This will allow them to move it around on the floor without scratching the floor. At first I thought I was going to put some felt on the bottom, but I thought the dye from the cloth of the felt might discolor the floor, especially after it gets damp or something like that, because this is next to the entry door and there could be a little bit of moisture, so this will keep it, the air flowing under it, and so it'll move for cleaning. So the bear is done. Thank you for watching.